question is always where to start when it comes to these things. What I've found is that when abusers find the next person that they're going to be with or whatever, they come off very, very sweet and very caring. And I think that's what lured me in. I was 18 years old, and I had just gone to college. I was in a very naive and very vulnerable point in my life. And I found this guy named Nick, and we seemed to get along right off the bat. But they find little things they can say that will register as being off, but not enough that you'll say, well, what the heck is going on? And the more is being said, the more I'm internally reflecting and thinking it's my fault for all these things. And I became under his control so quickly because I was so naive and vulnerable and not thinking about what was going on. And so he pushed out pretty much everyone who I held really close to me, and the only person I had was him. And having that isolation was crippling because I had relied so much on my family and all my friends. So I started getting really bad depression, and I didn't want to leave my room. And it got to such a bad point that when I went home for Christmas vacation, that he was calling me every single day. And if I didn't answer him, I would get screamed at for hours. And it drove me to a point that I ran to the bathroom and I took a razor to my wrist and I tried to cut myself. And my mom caught me before I did anything, and she's like, stop, relax, forget what's going on, and just stay here for a minute and just breathe. And she called my best friend at the time, who came over and sat with me for hours and said, Lindsey, you gotta end this. And I planned on it until I got back to school. And when I got back to school, I saw him. And the first thing he said was, why did you try to hurt yourself? How could you do this to me? And it wasn't even, how could you do that to yourself? It was him, how could you do this to me? And then I broke down sobbing. And of course we were back together again because I felt bad about the whole thing. And that's when he started to hit me. And that's what I took as, this is what life is. This is the way things are. And it's just the power that they have over you, and it's absolutely terrifying. And he made me come out to visit him one time during the summer. It was mid-July. And that was the first time I ever said no to him. And he was so upset at me. I remember he screamed at me. I had like 60 voicemails on my phone because he was so pissed off that I wasn't coming to see him that week. And when I tell you that was the most terrifying week of my life, it was the most terrifying week of my life. Previously, in earlier months, he had come back to my dorm drunk, and that was the first time he had raped me. But that week, it was constant, and he hit me all the time. And I tried to get away from him, but the thing that I always remember most about that experience was I was just starting to get into the acting field. I was just getting interested in it and wanting to go on auditions and all this other stuff. And I decided I was not going to tell Nick about it, at all. I was like, I'm going to keep this to myself because I know if I say something, he's just going to scream at me about the whole thing. So it was the day after I was supposed to come home. And my friend sent me a text, and he said, are you ready for the audition tomorrow? I'm very excited to see you, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And my phone wasn't in my hand at that time. It was actually sitting on the counter, and Nick and I were going to get sodas in his kitchen, and he was pouring a glass of soda. My phone lit up, and before I could grab it, he grabbed it first. And he looked into it, looked at me, said, what the hell is this? Slapped me so hard my head hit the floor, and I blacked out for 5 minutes. And when I came to, he was standing over me, and he said, if you ever do anything like that again, I will fucking kill you. And then he left. So, somehow or another, I got in touch with my mom, who was seeing my grandma in Atlantic City. So I got a bus to Atlantic City. And while I, on the bus ride home, after I saw my mom, she was like, Lindsey, are you okay? And the only thing I said to my mom was, I just want to get a shower. And slowly but surely, I started to, realize what was going on. And the more I had him out of my life, and the more I had my parents and my friends who I was really, really close to, it's like, okay, this obviously wasn't right, And so about 3 months later, and he's like, he sent me a text, he's like, are you okay, what's going on? And I said, I don't think I can do this anymore, but I've made it through, thank goodness. And I still suffer from a lot of depression and anxiety, and I have post-traumatic stress disorder due to the experience, but I'm out of it, which I am so thankful that I never have to deal with that.